Hey everyone, welcome to the BetSperts Golf Charles Schwab Challenge Betting Preview. Ryan Noonan, excited to be joined by my friends. I'm going to start the other way this week. We're going to go with Geoff Feinberg, your favorite golf tout. Geoff, no offense to Andy, but we had the privilege of basking in the glow that is unprecedented, not only just in playoff golf, because I can remember being on the wrong side of playoff golf multiple times, including unfortunately Will Zalatoris a few months ago at Farmers, but to have both guys live in the playoff was just a glorious thing, especially for an aggregate too, because we got 3 holes to just kind of bask in it too. We didn't even have like the one and done. Congratulations, my friend. How did it feel to get back in the winner's circle? I knew we were going to get on the board this week, buddy.
Yeah, you kept those positive vibes. You're even sending me some sweet nothings that like we were going to get this thing, and our cards were very like-minded. Last week it was nice. I would have been, it wasn't stressful. It would have been like a crazy stressful situation, I guess. Not to like poke holes in picking a winner. My payouts were pretty similar. I went pretty large on JT for a golf bet, but I was leaning to Willie. It's sort of something I don't want to say been calling for like 4 months. When you try to call something every week, you're kind of not allowed to like say I've been calling it for 4 months, but would have wanted that. And I do like where that I'm proud of myself because I can get real stubborn in making golf bets in majors, Ryan. And I don't hold the fact that like of the guys I consider true super elite talents, Justin Thomas is like my least favorite. I don't know whether that's personality or whatever. And in majors, I really have a hard time getting there. And I was proud of myself. Like the form, the results, it all got there. So yeah, is great. It's just so funny to think like this, he's generational, but if he doesn't get into a playoff, we're just talking about him as a elite player who can't hit back 9 clutch putts like Rory or something. So the fine line is truly incredible, maybe in golf more than any other sport.
No, that's a hell of a point. So yeah, that's interesting too. And that hits home with me because I do think we talk about it often here where we, especially at the top of the board, we typically like a lot of these guys and we have to tell ourselves stories one way or the other. And it was very easy to tell yourself the story on the entire top board for the most part last week. So to go to a guy that isn't necessarily a guy that you like, when we often default to guys that we like, or I know typically you talk about wanting to see guys hold a trophy for the first time. And that's probably why you were, Willie over JT in the playoffs, because I get it too. Like he's been so damn close, and to have that record of 5 top 10s and 8 majors, like it's incredible.
And I also knew like this Willie thing has got to end. So we don't have to have like, we're going to have a conversation right now that involves some level of armchair psychologist as it pertains to betting him. And that's something like Data doesn't want to have to deal with, but the week after a major, you almost have to, in some ways, at least fake some level of psychologist if you want to go back to the well on guys that, even if they won, it requires a level of some psychological analyzing. So I'll put my minor from the University of Western to work this week.
Andy, how we doing, buddy? Did you enjoy the golf this weekend? Southern Hills was a firm test like we thought it would be after kind of those guys getting out early on Thursday, but it kind of came back to us. Did you enjoy the weekend?
Yes, similar to Potomac, where it was like the first day we saw some guys race out to some scores and be like, man, is this course going to play hard? Are people is it going to be a minus 14 for a win here? And then as it turns out, no, just like, 2 weeks prior, it was a tough course for anybody to do that sort of thing 4 days in a row. We saw some pretty rough scores for some guys. We saw some big names miss the cut. I didn't have the outright like you guys, but I obviously was cheering for basically anybody for the team team to do well. It's always fun for us. Makes the newsletter easier when I can lead with, look at what Ryan did. He's so smart. But apologies. We started a little late. That was tech issues. Apologies.
My fault.
Mostly specifically to Brady Hunter, as he was in the chat giving us hell at the beginning. But a lot of psychology, like Geoff said afterwards. Not only, we haven't even brought up Pormito, who seem to handle it well. Some guys handle things well, some guys don't. He's playing this week. That's that'll be interesting. I have no idea what to do with that. Like, if you just look at the pure stats, be like, who's in good form right now? Is at the top.
If Mito was like, you're trying to think, if Mito did what Tommy Fleetwood did on Sunday and finished a couple back, even, Fleetwood shot 5 on, like, not all finishing positions are the same. We joke about that often, like on a Sunday night in golf Twitter, people are excited to see a number they could potentially get the next morning. Like, yeah, there's an argument to be made that Mito at 50-1 is actually a great number. But, we'll get into it. I would probably be closer to betting a guy that just sort of lollygagged on the weekend, like a Davis Riley at the exact same number, who I think like just didn't find himself in that total cooker and is just as prepared potentially to win this week. So it truly is like a mind expletive, for lack of a better term.
I'm going to bet them both. I'm taking both of those guys. And you want to keep going on psychology? Like, we had a guy who, oh man, it's like watching a sprinter win a race with one shoe on. Like, what Zalatoris was doing, how he composed himself through the whole week, where he finished, almost won a tournament. And you still are seeing him do the thing where the putter draws back and it goes through a goddamn labyrinth to get to the ball. I've never seen anything like that. Like, it's not like it was a 75-foot putt where he had to get it up a hill and he's drawing that thing back 2 feet. I mean, these are short putts. You're drawing the putter back, 8 inches, and somehow it goes 6 directions for it.
And
makes
then it
contact?
feels like it moves.
How do you do this?
It feels like it moves a little off center when he does that wiggle and doesn't reset it and makes the stroke. And you're like,
Yeah. Despite all this, he almost won a major golf tournament. He's almost won
again
several major golf tournaments. He's been in, it's his second playoff of the year. So I mean, if he could sort that out, what's his ceiling? My God.
I would like to open there then, because Bet365 just boosted him to 28-1, Ryan. And like, he closes at a major at like a 33. Now it's 28. Okay, you got to play the psychology, and I get it. And yesterday I was like, I really don't think I'll get there. I've bet Hovland like beside him at an identical number. I just feel like I'm gonna pivot. But as we wake up on it's Tuesday, I'm like more there on being back on Willie. I don't think it's a Byron Nelson like birdie explosion. It's a mid-teens number that he could easily get to. But here comes the psychological aspect of it. I just think I get the sense he's just like ultra determined to break through. In the sense, like, I just get that sense. We're gonna be in Texas. Like, there's just still a lot of motivation. Like, he's gonna see what he won on a bet. Like, his agent's gonna send him an email to be like, this is the payment that's coming. These are the FedEx Cup points. Check out this President's Cup updated list. Like, I just feel like he's not at a place where there's like scar tissue yet. Now, I've been down this road, maybe not with players as talented, but when Fleetwood just started making his move, or Fowler, like, been down this road thinking like it's so imminent and it never happens. Now with Willie, it honestly feels more like Rahm and Dustin. Like, it's not a matter of if, it's just a total when. And I'm not talking about a Charles Schwab and winning a Pontiac Firebird either.
Agreed.
Like, it's just a matter of like, wet, like, if is not even in the vocabulary of trying to dissect it. So yeah, I don't think the scar tissue's there. And now they've been boosted to 28-1 because they probably figure people are kind of like just very trepid about it. And I don't know. I'm really thinking about it on Tuesday. I wasn't on Monday.
We should do this. And, we can't do it on the show because it's too late, but we should almost do like a tweet thread on Sundays, like guessing who is going to be boosted next week. Because my guess would have been if Mito stays in the field, they're boosting him because people are terrified. But like, where's his brain at right now? Which honestly, I'm going to play him. I think that's kind of a zag as far as people are going to be scared to play him. But like, fucking his form is perfect. Like if his brain isn't broken, he's fine. Like he's so good. And again, it's like 50-1. What are you going to do?
And you get this vibe in sort of the little we know in the little window that like, even this is a big blow, but he's sort of come with this narrative as we've tried to get to like know him that like nothing rattles him. Like he's easily, it's like Rom jokes like a fish. Like doesn't have like, if this happened to Rom, what happened to Mito at Rom's age 6 years ago, like who knows? You know what I mean? Before some slight levels of maturity and that stuff increased. Mito doesn't seem to have like any of that. He seems to have like early on in life and golfing life adapted, like just be a fish, move on. There's an angle that it's a totally fair, incredible number, but I think I'm going to pass. Like, I think I'm going to pass. Yeah. I'd rather bet Billy at 28 than Mito at 55. Like, totally, if those are the two guys. And we can't have the conversation without dissecting Justin.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
Had an 8-second conversation with this team. Like, do you want us to withdraw? Do you want us to let him know? Like, it's really up to you. And he looked at him. He snickered. Probably he's like, no, we're going to keep this wagon moving. This is perfect, actually, right now. There'll be time to rest before the U.S. Open, but
it's not like he's fatigued at this point. It's fine. I don't know. I always look at that like
29 years old.
Is he of course history here?
Let me see.
Yeah,
he's
played. But the thing is, it's the weirdest deal as far as like every other sport. When you win something, or like you win a big game, it's always in like the playoffs of like team sports or in tennis, you beat someone you never beat before. And then you roll that energy, roll that momentum. Everyone's like, oh, they want to be all over you the next match, the next game. In golf, it's like, oh, he's just done. Like he's going to take 2 weeks off now. Like, why wouldn't some of these guys be like, I'm playing amazing golf. I just won a major tournament over a crazy field and a crazy course. Like, I want to keep this gravy train rolling. Like, it's weird that more guys.
The iron is hot. My form is great. My results are great. Even Bones, apparently, in his like sort of confidence boosted, JT's like, man, you're there every week. Like, we're doing nothing wrong. Like, almost as corny as it was like Ryan talking to me about my golf picks. Like, every week,
you're just caddy
wrong. Just keep doing what you're doing. And so I see no reason. Scotty withdrew after the Heritage, but it's a little different. This is Colonial. The guy, so many of these guys know this course so well. Like, who cares if he wants to sleep in a little this morning? Like, honestly, who cares? He's Justin freaking Thomas. So I could see him literally going like bonanza this week, to be perfectly honest.
40th last year.
12-1 isn't unfair.
It's not.
It's such a fair for the situation. I'd argue that's a very fair number, and those are hard to come by.
Yeah, he was 40th last year and 10th the year before. The only 2 times he's played here. So
my point being, it's not like it's a new course that like there's things he's got to know. You have a question about Colonial, like just ask Spieth. Like, I don't know if they're doing the 6-man slumber party again, like they were doing at Byron. I know Texas is like the size of a country, so this is Fort Worth, where I don't even know where we are at.
It's near TCU, so you're Fort Worth.
Oh, so Tom Hoagie country.
Tom, I think
Munoz Hoagie. North
I bet
Texas,
him outright last year.
Yeah.
I said and I went and looked, and I'm like, man, there's almost no chance he played here. Like he played wherever the other one, that Trinity course. Like I just looked at all the TCU results. I'm like, fuck, I don't think he's ever actually played this course. So that was kind of annoying, but I was ahead of the curve. Tom Hoagie, winner on tour this year. So maybe I was just a little bit ahead, and it got me thinking about, you talk about back to the Zal, if not win. It's kind of where people were on Scotty, except man, it's just so close. It's been so close so many times. So
the way I wrote him up in my article last week as a winner was I called him good Aaron Wise. It's just a guy that like I just you talk about like guys that we like I always bet Zalatoris, and it's going to be really hard to be on the sideline or try to add late live and not be in on, you know, when he kind of cracks the code here. And I'm with Geoff. Like, I don't think Zalatoris cracking the code is the Schwab. I think it is a US Open. I think it is, you know, a PGA. So again, there's nothing more sticky than iron play. And gosh, for the love of all things golf, please stop zooming in on him putting within 5 feet. It is not fair. There are kids around. Like, he's actually a pretty good line putter, and he putted really well early in the week. But the zoom in on the close stuff is just like, I don't know. It is painful to watch, to feel like, how can you possibly back this guy when this is the putting stroke? Like, it's unnerving.
Agreed. But also, like, I could say, like, again, I keep going back to it. Someone is offering me a 28-1. I could make a case.
Yeah.
He is, at this moment in time in life, the third best golfer putting a tee in the ground this week. Like, in this field, after JT and Scheffler, I could argue with anybody. No, I could argue, if you wanted me to argue he's the 9th best golfer in the field too, I could convince a non-golf fan that's true also. Sure. Like, I could make a great argument any way you want me to. But I truly believe he's the third best golfer in this moment, teeing the ball up in this field, 28-1. At a tournament that has historically, and you could use this for anyone you like and near the top, but it's a tournament that I've had success at, and you just look at the winning numbers that hit. They're either the good players or that next tier of like 30 to 60. It's literally where I like to do all my swimming essentially each week. So I don't know. This lines up perfectly. The only question is, if I bet Willie, it means I'm gonna have to take out potentially other guys. Ugh.
I have a spot at the top. I basically I'm living in Geoff's range so far. I've made a handful of bets. Most of them, I have a 40, a 50, a 55, and a 60, and then a bomb. So like, I have room to add at the top. And like, Hovland was on the short list. Willie is on the short list. Justin is on the short list. Like, I can very easily justify that. Spieth is a guy that I typically don't bet very often. His history here is pretty impeccable, with 9 appearances and I think like 7 top 10s, including his second last year, 3 straight top 10s. And, you know, kind of folded last year against Kokrak. But again, like, this is one of those spots where I love this course too. We know a lot about it. I think it brings a lot of the board into play because of the way that it kind of forces less than driver or, you know, precision all over the course.
I will say there's some interesting data stats that I've seen floating around the last couple of days, Ryan, by some of the smart guys in our ecosystem, showing the last 2 years actually a huge uptick in drivers here. Now, I don't know whether it's like the young players or guys just go longer. Like, they're just, you know, the math shows there's angles, and they're finding them. They have found them on this golf course. And but I do totally agree. Like, I've bet Kevin Na. Your Kevin Nas are totally live here. They can make it all happen. But it does seem like something has changed in the last couple of years with strategically with the longer hitters. They just know, I think they can give her maybe than they wouldn't have 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
it's funny. Like, you mentioned Kokrak, and you know, everybody talks about this course, and there's real thin, skinny fairways. There's not a lot of width to some of the landing areas. There's a lot of legs. There's a lot of shot shaping needed. It's not a bomb and gouge place. But then you find some of these guys who've moved beyond bombers. Like, we need another tier for like the ultra bombers. Like, these guys with a little wind at their back, they're putting it 370 in the air and shit. You know, it's stupid how they can cut corners. And I think there's going to be a point where some of these course redesigns, you know, we've seen some of these really old courses where there's some fairway bunkers at like 250 yards. And it's like, well, that's not where you need fairway bunkers anymore, because it's a straight hole and people are just, they're looking back at those as they're walking to find their ball. Like, so they're moving fairway bunkers down. I'd like to see some of these holes where they find out that people like Bryson can cheat and cut a corner over the trees. Put some fairway bunkers up there at like 400 where he's going to be landing. Like, make it hard to, because there's no way to, you know, you can't. I don't like the people that say, we need to like monitor the equipment and take away these, the equipment and some of the stuff. Like, just no, make the course hard for somebody to do that. If somebody wants to cut a corner on this hole, I'm putting 3 fairway bunkers there, and it's going to be a problem because you are going to see a little of that this weekend from some people who can just match it. There are some holes that you can go over the damn trees, and that's what, like, you saw Kokrak do what he did last year. It's a thing where there's probably, like Geoff said, there's probably 2 different kind of golfers who can really excel here. I'm gonna lean towards the shot shapers, the target golf guys, but wouldn't surprise me to see somebody who hits the piss out of it do well here.
Like, I've bet Finau. Like, I'll just full disclose that, and I'm hoping
we can just use that clip every week.
Yeah, I don't know. I think 40-1, a second place here, inconsistencies, but like kind of he actually gained in every metric last week, and I don't think there are many players in that field that did that. You add that to the ball striking performance a couple weeks ago. I think the course and the numbers a very fair opportunity for that sort of ceiling player to find it. But I'm also made that bet like no, I don't want all shot shapers. I'm gonna take, like, I've bet Abraham Answer also at 40. Like, I've got my shot shaper, but I'm also gonna want my guy that's gonna play this thing another way, and I kind of want him to unleash the Kraken and take some chances here. So yeah, I love this event. I like the winning score, the course familiarity. It creates a very fun building my betting card process. Some weeks are really annoying and frustrating, and obviously when you have to like cross those final 1-2 names off, that's never fun. That's the hardest part each week, and those are the ones that come with the loss of peace of mind when they're winning. But I've had a lot of fun trying to build this card this week. Also, win, I guess, makes it easier, right?
So much easier. Yeah. Jeff and I don't talk on Mondays, so I love showing up here and having a bunch of shared bets already in the book. So that's encouraging. Let's go kind of back to the top of the board. We touched on JT, obviously mentioned earlier, loaded field. Scotty's back here, talked about Jordan's course history. Jeff, you talked about, you bet Hovland already, you said, correct? Okay. So talk to me about the decision on like Hovland and Morikawa, because those guys, we typically bucket them together. We talked about them a lot as a pair last week around struggles around the green. That seems to be mitigated here this week. Like, again, small greens, small fairways, hard to hit, but like it just is not a spike week from an around the green standpoint. So what was kind of a differentiator to separate the two? Was it just the kind of
it's always hard. It's always hard. And me and Mayo like get into it. And it's also, it'll feel dumb with Morikawa wins and Victor doesn't. I've kind of just still stay on Team Victor, at least not a major. But I think the setup like this allows Victor to truly be great. And if you look at the chipping last week, anyone who tweeted something nice about Victor before the tournament started last week, I swear, Ryan, I've been doing this a few years. I have never seen that sort of like negative energy towards a player the week of a tournament. To anybody who tweeted or said, I'm betting him or I like him, the replies were quite like just very intense or angry, or people like adamant. And so I don't know, maybe it's got my back up against the wall with Vic, but this week it's like a ideal Victor setup. If he's got a chip more than 9 times, won't matter anyway.
Yeah.
Like any of them. If Answer needs his chip, it's done. Like, you're done. You're not winning needing to rely on short game. I say this every week. It's true. Am I going to need a clutch up and down to keep momentum, especially on a weekend, to win? Of course. But that's something like I'll worry about on Sunday. I don't know. Birdie's an absolute hurricanes for this guy. It's just check marks everything. I stand for him. So it was the move that I made. But I thought about Morikawa, and I even thought about like Spieth stays alive almost to the end because of who he is. And as much as I don't want to bet him, I'll give him that respect. Like I'm well aware of what exists there too. So
yeah, he just, even without form or when he was in the rut, he still would show up here, Andy, and play pretty well. Have you fired at the top of the board?
Yeah, and I get the Morikawa thing too. Like the Hovland thing. Last week,
Same.
like it was a very difficult place if you were not on the green. This is not that.
No.
Like the chipping is going to be easy. Even so easy, a Hovland can do it. So I don't mind that look at all because he checks all the other boxes and things are fine with him. As far as top of the board, just looking at my spreadsheet, I guess my shortest odds. I'm taking a good hard look at Sam Burns because I think he fits in both buckets that we talked about before. He is a long driver of the ball, but he can do the rest of it too. And he was somebody I really liked last week. I don't think that much has changed just based off the results. He had an okay weekend that nobody talked about because he wasn't really in contention. He finished just fine at a very tough course, but he is, if there's 35s out there still, I'm snagging something like that. My two lowest guys would be him and someone called Sung JM.
Yep.
Just 35 for him too.
And he didn't have COVID, right? He was just stuck somewhere because like he's not recovering from being sick. He just protocols created a cluster fuck for him. And
it just created a bad travel situation. So he's
had
time to get here. I think he's fine. He's healthy, and boy, does he check some fucking boxes here too. So
yeah.
Just looking for guys who can find greens and regulation.
And he might be angry.
Good form.
He might be golfing angry in like a good way this week. Like that. Yeah, that's a real unfortunate situation for him. The first thing that caught my eye to Andy's Burns point this week when the odds came out, the first thing when I saw like Max home at 28 and Burns at 35. And, I'm not here to be I love Max. I love the personality. I didn't get to hit the bet. But that's just like, whoa, like we're here. Like, okay, like I'm not totally ready to accept that. I'm not saying this week doesn't even set up well for Max, but I'm like, whoa, that kind of like took me like right away. And sometimes it takes me a while to warm up to a guy hitting like a new tier on the odds board.
Sure.
I'm not ready to just accept it right away. And I'm kind of there at this moment with Max because this isn't like Mexico. There's like a full starting lineup out there in front. So yeah, that would be a takeaway. But I love the Burns call. He's right at 35-1. Like I'll be probably annoyed if he wins because I pivoted to answer pretty much directly.
I wanted to go to Max pre-odds, and then I was like, man, like I thought maybe he'd be 40.
I was thinking 50 with this field. I don't care if he won. This is not the same. So I was super surprised at how much respect he got.
It wasn't just one book. It was like a consensus.
Yeah.
Max Homa is now like ahead of all these guys. And there's a group like from him to and it's fair. You look at the numbers, you look at the results. Homa almost like as early as a year ago was a guy that he either like 10 or was horrible.
Yeah.
Now he's just becoming this guy that can like stalk around a tournament, and that sets up incredibly well for him. But I can't make that bet. I cannot.
Same. It's 25 on points bet. I mean, it's not above 30 anywhere. So it's come back a little bit. It's closer to Burns. But yeah, you're right. I mean, he's kind of at the top of that Burns, Berger, above Answer.
Like I'm not expecting him to be Cam Smith.
Right.
Like, and I don't, and we had this sort of like Cam Smith was like, started in and has found his way. Now when he's in a tournament, like I'm not like there yet. I still need to see. And it's a compliment to have this conversation. Like you're so good, you're priced here. Now you're so much better than maybe my perception I'm holding on to. I can't accept your odd.
No, it makes sense. I get it. It's Burns hasn't played bad golf and has won this year as well. So it's not like Burns has been ice cold since his heater last year. Like Burns is being, in the mix and then, won a pretty solid tournament.
And we create narratives with guys. You try to bet outright winners. You've got to. Like it's as much as we love the data to hit submit on a guy to win a 150-man thing. You got to have like your own little like narrative in your head about him. I truly believe like Sam Burns is a natural born winner. I wouldn't be fazed if he was head to head versus Justin Thomas. Now, obviously Dom must be favored, but I mean, like in a very Patrick Reed, like mentally, like we're not laying it down an inch. And I like that when I bet on guys to win.
That's the Burger appeal for me all the time. Is that
we want to talk about him?
Yeah, I mean, that's a guy that is like I'm surprised I haven't bet him yet because again, like this, we're talking.
But you're not seeing like a clamoring for him, so you're probably not worrying the number's going to drop because I've been thinking about him either. But I haven't seen.
I think people have concerns. I think there's concerns around him, and it's maybe not merited, but like Geoff just said, because of that, it's not like I need to get on him before he's mushed.
How about like? I get the health is the bigger concern for me than the major. Like, I know you played bad in the major. You got. He was in the bad weather wave. Like, I'm not going to overanalyze that. Like, I like Berger so much, like the body of like the totality of it, that I can easily just be like, bad week right off. Apologist. Like, I'll admit, like that could be, and some who don't like him be like, that's a total apologist approach for the guy. He's played bad in a lot of majors before, and I think he's come back like in his next start and played quite well. He's won here. It's 40. It's a lot of like, yeah. I don't know if I can. I like too many guys.
Agreed. Like, because I made the same choice. The first bet I made was Answer. Obviously, liked what we saw with Answer last week. Didn't come in with great form, but again, like when you're talking about precision, you're talking about the ability to shape shots, find fairways,
Texas, like just
I mean, easy. So Answer at 40 is the shortest bet that I made. So I definitely can go above the board here, but I just can't. You know, the Hovland and Burns are definitely.
This is guys. I'm sorry it is, but like, yeah, the Answer, the Burger, the Finau, the Fleetwood.
So I was gonna ask you about Tommy because Tommy.
We had the playoff last week. I honestly like closed my eyes on Sunday, as happy about Fleetwood's performance last week as I was about hitting a winner in the tournament. Like, I am so happy to see it all like maybe trending almost as good as he's played since he made his first steps into North America, you know, sort of riding that wave that we all thought things would happen so much faster. I don't know what to do. I think it could be a perfect week for him. I don't know that I'm going to be able to bet Zalatoris. I really don't. And that's going to hurt. Shit.
It is. Yeah, if someone obvious wins, I'm not going to do well here. There's too many obvious choices. I don't want to it's either I just build a card with all the super obvious guys, or I build the card with the guys I show value on. Because I can just put a card together that's like Zal, Scheffler, Spieth, Hovland, and
it's expensive.
It's just like you put together that expensive
build.
I'm saying like you want to just go the obvious expensive build and fuck.
See, I would like to be cocky. I like to be cocky and try to pick a name from that expensive part, but the rest I see myself in that. Finau, Fleetwood, Answer, Berger, Riley, Varner. Like, I know I'm just naming names, but I'm telling you, it's a long list. I'm having fun building, but I think the hard, unfun part I'm on the precipice of too when trying to make the bets. Also, I don't really care much for deep. I'm not saying they can't win, but I think this field is too strong that I'm going to take almost the same angle I had at the Nelson that KH Lee did nip. He beat Hideki, JT, Spieth kind of at the wire, not taking anything away. I just think there are too many players I think are just so good that I can't see it going like deep into triples. Like, I can't.
Yeah, I made one bomb and that'll be it because I thought the number on Stu Cink was bad, and I grabbed Stu Cink at 130, and that's the only one that I have. Again, like Stu Cink is significantly longer than we think, and can be accurate, and we like the form he played. Obviously, he was in that group with Justin on Sunday. That's the only thing that I have that'll be.
Can we go straight to bombs because I have a fun one?
Yeah,
sure. We can go all over. We have.
I've got one more before, right in front of the bombs. I'm seeing it 75-1. Mav McNeely, like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
it's on the list.
I've seen people. Pat dropped a Pebble Beach comp to me in some respect, just like smaller greens. He likes Hoagie. To your Andy thing, Mayo's betting Hoagie if you need that boost. But yeah, Mav is kind of. I don't really care for his PGA Championship. Again, it's a total write-off. He didn't win me any money at Nelson where I bet him, but he played fine. I actually think 75-1 is a number I could work with, but looks like I might be too busy betting in front of it.
Yeah, he's low middle, kind of right there for upper middle class as far as where I rank players this week. So I'll probably be using.
He's actually the 1%er.
Yeah, I mean,
That's for damn sure.
That's very true.
Yeah, that house.
I shouldn't have used a socioeconomic analogy because he's rich as shit. But no, I mean, in that range, I think I'm going to use him a bunch because if they pair him up with like like put him against Troy Merritt, I don't know. I'm just trying to look at guys somewhere in that range. Like, give me a matchup of him and Ricky. I'll bet Mav McNeely at I don't want to say any price. Never.
And I guess. Yeah. And before we get to the real big bombs, I think I am betting Varner this week. I have bet him at 65-1. I think he can shot make the shit out of this. The good news is, guys, I know you'll be worried. I've said it a few times. I'm not woe is meing it. I do have to, get another surgery Friday. I will be on painkillers watching Varner putt. You won't have that luxury. So that's just something that you might need to consider. I'll already be like on a cloud watching him miss the 4.5 footer after you're so like he sticks something and you're like, you're the man. And then he walks up to the green and it doesn't even rub a hole. I'll be in the painkillers. You'll need to figure something.
I love rub a hole, by the way.
Rub a hole.
Burn an edge. Sorry. Like some of them are so close and don't even burn edges. But he had his, I think, third worst putting performance of his career last week.
Are we talking Vegas? Who is it?
Varner.
Yeah.
Vegas
in the field. He's not.
Total shot making situation. I'm gonna give this one a roll here. So Varner 65 is in for me.
Sounds like you should probably bet Will at the same time. You don't have to worry about the Will putting scenarios.
Yeah, it is funny that like Varner did win, and it was on a putt that wasn't even on the green. Like that's what has to happen for him to win. He just has to make 110 footers from the goddamn fairway, and easy peasy.
I really do believe, like, everything about him like this is Willie light to the extreme, what I'm about to say. Everything does really do feel like it's trending towards finally getting that PGA win. But you gotta putt for dough, H Vizzle.
He's got the nappy swag too. He just had a kid. God damn it. My bomb is 180.
Ooh.
At
Smotherman.
I was gonna say Smotherman.
No, it's anywhere from there's 110s out there, so shop because places have 110. Consensus probably 130. But
can I just try to guess it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
but give me one. Like, is it a guy you regularly? Do we talk about him?
It's Ryan already said it. I think you missed it though. But Ryan did nail it, and it's a guy who's played golf already this week. He was in the field. But he played a Monday qualifier anyway because he had to win his way into the U.S. Open, which he did by shooting a nice 62. Not at this course. They played at some other courses. I'm trying to remember what is something Royal across town. They're all Dallas courses, so they do stage these U.S. Open qualifiers near other tournaments, so some of these players can play a Monday qualifier like that. But Neesmith, as far as form, fit, and finding fairways, the 7 Fs, and that's not even close. And honestly, finding greens, I put pretty high here too with some of the smaller greens. But like I have him as far as being a green finder over the section of time I've used. He's top 10.
What number did you say you got?
I haven't bet it yet because I'll have to drive to Iowa to do this sort of thing. But 180-1 at
180 on DraftKings.
At DraftKings, and I mean, there's 130s, 150s. way, way too big of a number. I'm going to, augment it with a top 20 bet as well. But that is obscene for a guy who fits this course this well, finds fairways, finds greens, and is playing well enough. And like I said, he already played this week, and it's apparently he's poking the ball pretty well because he absolutely, played very, very well at this U.S. Open qualifier. So I'm fine with him here. Not a great putter. Like, this is where it's another one of these guys where it's not a great putter, but if it's playing slow and this slow bent grass we've seen for a couple weeks now, he can do fine here. He has done fine when he is not losing on the green. He's top 3ing at the Valspar. He hasn't missed a cut here, or hasn't missed a cut in a few weeks. Wasn't great at Byron Nelson, but again, it was putting let him down. He's had really good tee to green numbers for 4 or 5 weeks here, over from like the Honda through what we've had. I think Byron Nelson was his last tournament, so I'm fine betting one long bomb on Matthew Neesmith. Also, if he is listening, shout out, appreciate your Twitter handle explaining how to say your name right, as he spells it Knee. Because a lot of people, when he was new on the scene, there was doubt. There was Nesmith. It's almost like Lanto. People don't know.
I'm so torn because it's weird to not have an alpha in an elite field bet, track. But this is like, there are so many dudes in this like Feinberg tier.
Yeah, Gooch. We haven't even gooched it yet.
Well, yeah.
I honestly am maybe regretting that I have my Victor bet and I've, had to post that somewhere, because I almost would rather trade that in for 2 more bodies at 40.
I know. I bet Woodland at 50.
Yeah, like, he's part of it. I didn't mention him, but like, he's part of it. Gooch is part of it. Oh my God. I don't know how I'm going to get
Brian Harmon is part of it.
Yeah. For other people. Yeah, no, totally. I almost want to cancel my Nah bet. Like, I don't even like him enough. I'd rather lose money on Berger.
Yeah. I also bet Kirk at 60, which, again, I hammered Kirk and Answer at the same time. I think the 60s are gone.
Kirk on Sunday night, like, that was the one guy I kept seeing people like looking forward to a number for.
Yeah, he just is always a T20 bet for me. But again, this is a place where I think he can maybe get some outright money. So yeah, Answer, Woodland, Kirk are the mid-tier bets. But again, like, I want to get down.
What's sold you on Kirk? Because he's on my card.
There's not a lot of holes in the game. He's really good from the proximity ranges that we're going to need this week, which is basically anything under 200 yards. He pops in there. Bogey avoidance, he's pretty solid, which again, we need to score on par 4s here. The par 5s are monsters. So there's not a lot of par 5 scoring here. So he typically is going to lag behind.
Me? Like, would it be a pick'em to just get every golfer from 30 to 60? Probably not, right?
Probably not.
Geoff,
that's interesting though. That's interesting.
Jeff's already on pain pills, apparently.
No, like, I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna pick like 5 of them when I like 9 of them, like 12 of them.
I know.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to Dutch 30 guys together.
Another guy that should be in that range, but there's 100 on him, is Seabez. Seabez is like, there's no box that Seabez doesn't really check here for me this week. It's not a guy they typically bet to win, but like, he's definitely gonna be on the card to finish.
He's a top 20. Yeah, top 20.
Davis.
I like him anytime he doesn't have to like max throttle on the driver. Because his driving stats are bad.
Correct.
But his driving stats are much better at events where like he knows he doesn't need to, like, he's like, I got no chance. I gotta just whip. What am I trying to say? Because I'm bad at this. His driving stats are better at the events where he doesn't have to like go max throttle and can just feel like, let me get it out there and use the rest of my game. But when we go to some of these premier events, you're truly required to max throttle off the tee. And that's where players like him really find themselves in trouble.
Yeah, no, I agree. But like here, fairways, top 10 in bogey avoidance, top 10 in fairways gains. He's top 20 in the par 3 ranges that we need. He is top 20 in the 125 to 150, 150 to 175 buckets. Like, he's
Okay, the prop of the week. I'll probably give this to you for the Spurts collab piece. And I said this at the Byron Nelson. He didn't win, and I was never even nervous when he was leading. But there's a 90 on Ryan Palmer at FanDuel. If you can correlate that into the T30, T40, I honestly think that might be the like safest bet on the golf betting board this week. And I said the exact same thing for Byron Nelson as it pertained to Palmer, a player who I think you could probably go through my entire history of betting golf. I don't think I've ever bet him to win a single tournament. But I do believe that there's a great opportunity to cash Palmer tickets this week in different ways.
Yeah, pretty sure I've bet him before at the Farmers as a long shot, but that's it.
I like a good safe one. That was my strategy last week for the collab piece. And I went Mito top 40, which was ridiculously safe. I was mad. I was almost mad when I thought he was going to win. I'm like, well, man, I sure liked him last week. What was I can't find him anywhere else on my card. Maybe some matchups here.
Yeah, Palmer 163 to top 30. Yeah, you probably get right around plus money for top 40 as well. So yeah, there's no problem with that. There's a bunch of guys we didn't even talk about. Webb. We saw some encouraging Webb signs. Justin Rose, not a guy that I know is not a guy for me either, Geoff. But
I even said to Pat,
playing pretty good.
I got to live the gimmick sometimes, the bit with him, and I'll live it, I guess, because we're so deep in. But I thought we saw him on TV last week on the weekend because it was deserved and he was playing well. But as someone that had him in like a couple lineups, tracking him, he played really well. Like I was really impressed overall. I'm not betting him to win because I'd rather just bet the cooler younger guys at the same number. But I'm encouraged. I'm happy to see him do that.
It's tough to whittle down these names here. So yeah, like I said, I left a shot at the top of the board, but I might just use that to allocate a couple more shots here in the middle because there are so many names. And like if you kind of look at the history of who's won here, it really hasn't been the bombs. It does typically play itself out where it is some of the guys at the top of the board or these middle range guys. So I have no problem doing that.
Jeff's territory there. I'm living in the top half of it. Like,
yeah,
30 to 70. I'm going to be in the like 25 to 50. I'm going to live, and then Neesmith, and obviously Neesmith.
30 to like 60 is what I'm really calling it from what I'm seeing this week. But yeah. Ooh.
Andy, you mentioned Gooch. Did you bet Gooch?
No, just another one where I'm seeing his name tossed around. He's right past the range for me. He's a really good course fit for me here.
He is
not as good with some of the irons. He's still good and playing well. I'm taking into account a lot of just current form as far as if you want to say like who's in the best current form. It's obviously a lot of the guys that played well last week, but yeah, that's a reason that Riley is just getting bumped up for me. I am on Riley, and
it's been awesome.
Everybody else I know is, and I'm not even worried about it. It's like, you know what? This kid's good. Like he's fine. He's playing really well. His course fit is nice enough here. And again, another decent irons player where I look at all the numbers mashed together and it's like, how do I not bet this person?
Yeah, you just bet him. Don't even worry.
That's right. Yeah, and like some of the ones that just missed, Varner. Like Varner price for me, it needs to be a little bigger. Like I'm seeing 40s. If there were a 60, that's probably about 66 would be great. Not happening though.
FanDuel got a 65. I bet it.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's gone. Maybe it's gone now. Maybe that's the case. I'm just too slow. I need to like.
I bet it.
It's still there.
Still there.
Maybe Varner's happening. Maybe I'm going to Iowa tonight. I got to go to the farm already. That's halfway there. So, yeah. Fleetwood just missed for me. Harmon. He's a little higher in price. He's a guy that's going to get used in a bunch of matchups, I'm guessing. When I see some of these guys where I'm looking at their price, looking at where I have them, it's like, man, I hope they match up against somebody I hate. Aaron Rye is going to get used in matchups because his. So
who is the guy you're hoping to get matched with? Fowler, I saw you said earlier.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. That would.
Respectful.
I don't know if you'll get that.
Kisner's someone I don't like here, whose price, like somebody who should be playing a lot better. Maybe, and honestly, maybe Troy Merritt. Troy Merritt's someone I've been cold on, despite his decent play. I think that's propping his price up a little.
Yeah, we got the Troy Merritt thing on DraftKings again, where he's 50, and then he's 110 on FanDuel. It's crazy. I mean, he's in the 80s and 90s everywhere else. So like DraftKings is the outlier. FanDuel's the best number for sure if you're a Merritt backer. But it's interesting to see that much of a discrepancy, which can happen down the board. At a golf event, we're talking about bombs, so that's interesting. But again, 60 points is pretty massive.
Yeah, it's weird. And that's a case too, where if you see someone who's wildly off at one place in the market and it's not somebody you want to bet, it's not just like, oh my God, look at this price. I got to bet this guy now. It's like, oh my God, look at this price. What's going on with this? If you think it's super off like that, look to see if that book's going to open a matchup on that guy.
Correct. Yeah.
Because I think if their numbers, it's not a direct correlation, but there's some, and they might have that person well overpriced in however they're doing their betting.
Tringale's another guy like that. Tringale's mispriced on DraftKings relative to the rest of the market. So if you are not on Merritt, not on Tringale, Andy's points make sense, and you maybe can go and look to target some matchups there. So yeah, I don't know what to do here, fellas. I mean, I'm actually leaning to just throwing a few more in the mid range because I just like these guys. I like those values, and those are fun to hit. They're cheaper. But
that's where my brain is, Ryan. Are we at a spot where, and maybe Geoff answered this too, are we at a spot where you're betting a little more on outrights than you normally would this week?
Well, okay. The plan is
I'm not there yet, but I think I might be.
I've got like all sorts of thoughts on this. Because like I wake up, I kind of just want to keep my exposure down. It's the week after a major, but then I see the field and I see the board and my eyes are lighting up. And then I know I'm having surgery, and I'm just dead. Like I'm down. Like I'm down for the count this weekend. So like part of me, like the degenerate me is like, she just overbet this thing. Like you're just baked on the couch. You're not moving. Like just throw some extra bodies. You need a Sunday horse.
We'll get you
you're not
USFL
moving. Like
parlays.
you need to have a Sunday horse. But I don't know. Part of me is like, you're gonna miss it, not remember it. Why bet it anyway? I'm all over the place. Full disclosure.
I'm thinking I might have a heavier outright card than I normally do. And somebody just brought up the last one I have not mentioned in the chat is Senor Munoz.
Yeah, North
I don't
Texas.
know where other people.
First round leader vibes are like all over the internet. I saw.
Maybe I should just tickle first round leader anyway too if he's gonna do that shit again. But Christ on a bicycle does his numbers pop for me this week. So again, great course fit, great irons, great heat rating, if you want to call it that, as far as just current form and playing well and having some good results recently, playing his way into shape, playing his way into form. So Munoz 60. I'm not sure what the best price people have seen on him. I'm sure if I poke around, I have not.
That's about right.
Yeah, there's going to be some 60s out there. So anything
60
better
on
than
DraftKings, 65 with the score. Our friends at the score have a 65. That's not best number.
Fucking Canada.
Yeah,
I got to get up there.
Yeah, so I bet outrights. Having bet some outrights for Geoff, I know that I could say comfortably I bet them a little differently. I typically will bet to a win amount, so that changes the stake depending on. That's why, like for me, I like JT winning. I got a little bit more of my stake back because it cost me a little bit more to get to that number than for Zal. But like I'm slightly after winning a couple pretty good NFL draft. I'm kind of bumping that number up a little bit, so they're getting more expensive. But just the way I kind of bet them, it doesn't really change too much. I'm just trying to take home X amount every time, or within a range when I hit an outright. So it's kind of how I approach the card. So no problem.
Normally that is how I do it, but sometimes with the major, and you did some things with different numbers, but I think that was probably because I already had some of the other guy at like a shorter number, so I just like wanted more at like the better number.
I'm envious of your.
I totally agree with that, and I am. I gotta settle that with you. Some people are really annoying me, Ryan. I'm not going to take that out on you.
You got an open account with me, buddy. Keep using my American books to place your bets. We're all good, brother. I know where you work.
If you ever need a place with a polar bear that's pretty cool and they like to bet, you can let me know.
We need Geoff to get score access, Andy. That's what we need.
I was going to say, I have to settle up with the.
Do you want me to get it? I would get it for you guys. Here's just the full disclosure. I used to be employed at the Score. It's just one of those things. I don't even want to give them the app download. Okay.
No, that makes sense.
But I did get, when I was canned, I walked out of there with like 2 booklets of taxi cab chits.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was a young adult, buddy, getting home from the bar late, sending girls who like lived in the boonies home. It's good times.
It's good times. Those were
that kind of bad. They kind of caught on, but it didn't matter. Like, buddy, gig was up. Gig was up.
More outs is better, even if you don't like them.
I'm like way more mature now. I don't think I would do that again. I didn't like how that went down thown
I don't want to force it down for you. Yeah, they're just always a little bit higher on some of these guys. For like,
I got to figure out my Circa account. Like, I have a Circa account, but it was based in, like, I opened it in Colorado.
Circa's coming to Illinois soon. Very, very, very.
So
soon.
I've had issues logging in when I was in Vegas with it. Like, you should start a new one. I'm like, no, I have this account. So I got to sort it out with Iowa, because I've had problems with that with DraftKings as well. When I was in Michigan compared to Iowa, it made me like download a whole new app. Like, no, you need the Michigan app. Like, my God, everyone needs to just figure this shit out. I should just be able to open this up when I'm in a good state. But probably tonight, Iowa, getting some of the best of the numbers down at DKFD. Circa. PointsBet once in a while has the best of it. Mostly, honestly, like DraftKings. DraftKings has some weird outliers sometimes. Circa has a ton. If you want to go deep on the board, the best price is almost always going to be at Circa. They try to hold the VIG, or the over round for the whole market down a little by pricing some of those guys at massive numbers.
I'm interested to see what they do here in Illinois soon. So DraftKings never early in the week, but later in the week you start to see they're the one that I think they move enough. Like, they'll move off of some of their early positions. They want to make you pay the freight if you want to get down early.
Like a favorite on Monday morning on DraftKings, they will make you pay the piper for it.
Yes, correct. It's never the cheapest, and it almost always gets longer as we get closer to Wednesday nights. So, yeah, interesting, guys. I don't know what to do here. We made good cases for Burns, Hovland, JT at the top, but I think I'm going to continue to sprinkle in the middle. But we'll have some good content continuing to roll out over at BetSports Golf. We'll have a free picks article, which is typically going to be featuring a lot of finishing position bets. The three of us, Ron Kloss jumps in there. Sometimes we get John Daigle to put down the Underdog app to make a golf bet occasionally for us. So we'll continue to have that for you over on the sites. Andy, what else is going on?
Yeah, the free bets article did well. Like, a lot. Like I said, my Mito pick came through. We had some other top 10s, top 20s, top 30s. All that shit seemed to do pretty well.
Robert McIntyre, I think, shot 20 over on the weekend and ruined his nice Friday night position to cash some Mac props.
I may do a so I get so many DMs and questions, and I know you guys do too. Especially now, we had one in the Discord about dead heat rules, which I'm not ready to tackle that one yet. But I get questions about full tournament matchups that get settled by the cut, and I had a beautiful one last week where Sepp Straka made the cut versus whoever he played, and then went out and shot like 18 over for Saturday, and literally like just pissed it down his leg dead fucking last Saturday and Sunday. And you get those questions, be like, does he still win even though he finished like 12 shots behind like, yes, you get that. Well, and people bet the -1.5 in the matchups in the full tournament, and the guy finishes 1 over, his opponent finishes 2 over, but the cut line is -1 or +1. He's like, well, he only won by a stroke, but like, yeah, it still cashes. Cut line rules everything around me. Yeah. Like, that guy he didn't play 72 holes, doesn't matter. You could have laid 10 strokes and he won that.
the bad line, well, what I perceived was the bad line at DK last week with the Neiman versus Kuchar head-to-head based on their Kuchar outright line, won by a stroke, and it was pretty stressful.
Yeah.
So there was that. I don't know. I'm excited. Like, that run we had out of the Masters, we don't have that. Like, we're going to Memorial next week. Then we've got RBC and Live, and then we're at the U.S. Open. So there's a lot. Like, it's going to be quite a different run to the next major than we
June's a fun one. This is my fun stretch. I love Memorial. I actually love this one, and I think the U.S. Open track is a real good choice this year. So gonna be a lot of fun heading down the stretch. So I'll have the rest of my betting card out. At least on my outrights, I'll have them figured out. I'll have them in the Discord later. If you want to get in the Discord, just head over to betspurtsgolf.com.
Good place to be. I'm excited about this one too because I feel good. Maybe to Jeff's point, like you just bagged 2 out of the last 3 winners. You start to feel like you're on it. Like Cam Young, we didn't even talk about Cam. Like Cam Young was a guy that I had last week too. So like feeling like, man, if Mito wins this is going to be really painful to be painted all over the leaderboard and not bring home the winner. So it felt really nice to see him kind of freeze and do that Yankee fairway finder kind of swing that he had there, then just kind of posh that in the water, which is painful because Mito's a guy. It was like rooting against Keegs a couple weeks ago at the Wells Fargo. Like I love Keegan Bradley. I always bet him, but to cheer against him against Homa was just had to do it. So to cheer against Mito was painful for a couple hours, but it was impressive to see the kid walk up and handle the interview with class and not withdraw this week. So good for him. Encouraging signs moving forward. So yeah, we're going to hopefully do another winner this week. So enjoy it as always, fellas. Look for the betting article on the site on Wednesday afternoon. So Jeff, Andy, and Ryan, see everyone soon.